Hello. Welcome to Frankenstein Tea, a daily short story program for adult listeners from the Island Free Library. Nice to have you here. Thanks for coming. Hope you like today's story. I hope you like all the stories, or maybe not all of them, but a good chunk of them. I hope they're interesting to you and feel like worthwhile tuning into. I've liked the stories lately. Oh, there's my dad. Hi, Dad. And today's story, I really like this author, and I think I've read something to you from this book before. I know I have, and I'm not quite sure what I read to you because every time I pick it up, I read a bunch of them because they're really short and sweet, and I find very relatable to life on Block Island. So, I've read them all a bunch now, and I can't quite figure out what I read to you. Who knew this short story program would go on this long? But today I'm going to read from Summer Over Autumn, a small book of small town life by Howard Mansfield. It's a great little book. He was an author who came and did an event here. It was a great event. And you know what? I don't think he signed his book for us. No, he didn't. We got to get him back to sign his book. But Summer Over Autumn, a small book of small town life by Howard Mansfield. Bon Publishing, Peterborough, New Hampshire, 2017. BAU, which is my name, Bao, HAN, Bauhan Publishing, Peterborough, New Hampshire. So I'm going to read from here today. I don't think I've read the two that I'm going to read. Oh, there's such good ones. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, there's that one and this one and that one and this one. But I am going to read from here today. I don't think it's what I've already read to you. Let's see if I can even find what I'm going to read to you today. And I am tempted to read two. Let's see how this goes here. All right, so for Frankenstein Tea, where is my short story for today? I'm giving up. I'm giving up on the flip through. I'm going to the table of contents. I know what I want to read, so I'm going to go right there. Okay, here it is. Bam. Okay, so I have a little tea because, it's a tea day. So have a sip of tea. I feel like we've made it together through that. Like we started off with tea in the beginning and, then it was hot summer and I drank a lot of water and a little bit of iced tea. And now here we are back at hot tea again. The marking of time here with Frankenstein Tea. So I saw my checklist. Hold on, let me get it because it's right here. Let me not put my scarf in my tea. Yeah, so this is my checklist. This is a little checklist that we do for our mental health together. A little check-in with ourselves and our mental health. So let's do that today. We haven't done that. So the checklist goes like this. Have you had a regular meal? Have you showered? Have you had enough sleep? Are you thinking kind thoughts about yourself? Have you had fresh air? Have you connected with someone you love? Have you moved your body today? The one don't on our checklist is don't compare yourself to others. That's always a don't. Don't. But that's just a couple of notes that I took off something, and I like this little list. I keep it up here with the books that we read. Have you had a regular meal? Have you showered? Have you had enough sleep? Are you thinking kind thoughts about yourself? Have you had fresh air today? Have you connected with someone you love? And have you moved your body? And then the don't compare yourself to others. So, just have a little check-in with yourself, see how that's going. If for any reason any of those are flags, warning signals, whoa, you haven't showered in a while, or You haven't had a vegetable to eat in a while. You've eaten all donuts or whatever that may look like. Recognize it, take a moment to think about it. And if you need help with your mental health, there are resources available on island and, of course, off island. So, check out the blockislandmentalhealth.org website for on island resources as well as off island resources. The medical center is also very helpful, connecting people to the help that they need. And if not, just get yourself in the shower and cook some vegetables and get some sleep tonight. If that's what you need, if you can take care of yourself in that way, go for it. All right, another sip of tea. Let's see. Okay, you ready? You ready, Dad? This is Summer Over Autumn by Howard Mansfield. And this short story is Summer Over Autumn. Floating, paddle at rest. My kayak is adrift in the middle of the pond as I look at the mountains. It's mid-August. The light is silvery and soft. I can see a weakening of the green, and here and there, like a splattering of paint, the first yellow leaves. Autumn is beginning to slip out from under cover. I think of this moment as its own distinct time, as summer over autumn. This is the moment that precedes the fall snap, the great colors, and the final bare season in November. Summer is in high season. You'll never eat better tomatoes or corn, but the first apples are ready for picking. The evenings are cooler, and the day's heat lacks conviction. Summer at this moment is a party, but the party is already over. August in northern New England is poignant, a quick curtain call for the green earth, for summer's heat, and for the gardens. Summer over autumn isn't a season. It's a glimpse, the moment when we see the skull beneath the skin, the death that is always part of life. In the midst of life, we are in death, as the Book of Common Prayer says. It's a moment poised on the seesaw, right at the fulcrum, a moment of passage. Sitting still, you can feel summer passing, retreating as fog retreats. It's like passing through a doorway. If we could inhabit a still point, floating as if we were in a kayak, would we be aware of the many doorways we daily pass through? The pond is one such doorway. We have seen loons nest, raise a fluffy, awkward chick, and then at season's end, fly off. None of this looks easy, and each summer it seems as if the loons are inventing it all over again. The way the chick at first rides on the mother's back, then the stage where it is on its own in the water, but looks like a floating toupee. And when the loons are getting ready to fly away, they have to flap their way down the length of the pond to rise just a few feet. To clear the trees, they have to circle again. They look less like birds than someone earnestly impersonating a bird. Turtles, snakes, salamanders, the occasional otter family, a bald eagle fishing, pink lady slipper orchids, dragonflies, kingfishers, big rocks that have shifted, fissured, and shed parts of themselves. Tall trees that shaded us one summer died the next, and by fell over, giving rise to other trees, plants, and insects. All these we have seen at this one pond while adrift. And we have seen people come and go. There was a young couple who lived in a small cottage near the pond. I'd see them working on their place. None of that came easy either. He always seemed to have a circular saw in one hand. She was balancing a baby on her hip and keeping her eye on their 2-year-old while trying to hold a board for him. She looked as tired as those women in the photos from the Depression-era Dust Bowl. For a couple of summers, I'd walk past them in this formation or stop sometimes to chat. What happened next happened in winter, I guess. They separated and divorced. He got very sick, and I last saw him in town. He was confused, under heavy medication and too thin, the death in him showing. He died not long after. Other couples have come to live out their dramas in that cottage. Summer over autumn will never make the roster of mini seasons like mud season and black fly season. It's just too short. It's like a ferry ride described long ago by the 8th century Chinese poet Tu Fu. A group of dandies and young women set out on a fine summer's day. But, as Carolyn Kaiser translates, above us a patch of cloud spreads, darkening, like a water stain on silk. The women in their crimson skirts are drenched by a downpour. The ferry trip home is cold and wet. Like a knife in a melon, autumn slices summer. That was Summer Over Autumn by Howard Mansfield. And I think it's the first day of autumn. Is that today? First day of autumn? Was that yesterday? So I wanted to remember to read you that in August, but it slipped by. September is okay. I'm going to read one more. Mending Fences. I have been fixing the same old pasture fence for more than 20 years, and in that time, the fence has educated me. This old horse fence, unpainted wooden boards and posts, has schooled me in wood and tools. George Iselin built this fence 17 years before we bought our house, with its old barn, outbuilding, and 8 acres of fields and woods along the Moose Brook. George is as deceptive as his fence. He looks like an unkept, wispy hippie. In his college years, he was known on campus for going barefoot in the New Hampshire winter. But George is incredibly strong and kind. He works as a farrier, and I have seen him move a heavy heating oil tank by himself that would have normally taken 2 or more people to move. His fence is strong like him. He nailed it together with huge spikes. All of the fence posts are standing tough. No rot, not the least little wiggle in any of them after nearly 40 years. Most of his thick boards are still hanging there. Some of my replacement boards have come and gone, while his lichen-covered boards hang there. Why? This fence should have fallen apart long ago. At first, I was slow to realize my caretaking duties. Our pasture is right on a major road to town, so I knew that I had to keep the fence up. But I was always behind and unprepared. For starters, I had no power tools. To replace a board, I had to pry out those huge rusty nails. They were as long as railroad spikes. Sometimes I had to throw all my weight behind the pry bar. Then I'd cut a new board with my old handsaw. It was slow going. It was worse keeping the fence line clear. Brush had grown right under the fence. I went at the fence line with some dangerous tools, including a rented brush cutter that had a naked circular saw blade dancing and hopping at the end of a long handle. Then I graduated to a chainsaw, which wasn't much better. I do this every few years in the summer and haul pickup truckloads to the burn pile at the dump. But it seemed that every time I looked across the field at the fence, all the brush had sprung back, as if seen in some time-lapse movie. I could have let the fence fall down, coming apart season after season until it looked like a child's game of pickup sticks. But that would be letting down the team. I kept up the fence for my neighbors, not so they'll think better of me, but so they'll feel that all is right with the world. We tend to take outward appearances as inward reports. Upright fence, upright life. Trim house, trim life. We are surprised when time and again the opposite is true. We know the scene well. The news van broadcasting in front of the beautiful house that is the site of the ugly crime. The neighbors looking into the cameras to say that they had no idea he was such a nice man. The news cameras scanning the front of the well tended house looking for signs of guilt. The entire town may be put into a kind of police lineup. The fine churches and parks all serving to ask, how could this happen here? Even if an upright fence is not a picture postcard of a happy universe, it's better than being sloppy. So I finally wised up and called in a backhoe to uproot the brush. I got a new fleet of cordless tools, a small circular saw to cut the boards, and a reciprocating saw to cut the old nails off. George's fence taught me all this. If you drive by and see a guy fixing a fence, you'd have it wrong. It's really a fence getting a guy to keep it standing. This is what Michael Pollan says plants do. We are working to spread apples or potatoes. The plants are cleverly in charge. But lately, the fence has been showing its age. I don't know about George. We had a few snowy winters and the plows pushed the snow hard against the fence. In spring, it looked like a stampede had busted through the boards. I have had the dreaded end-of-life discussions with my wife. Should we just take it down? After we fixed the fence to keep horses in, At first, we fixed the fence to keep horses in. But sheep are pastured there now, and they have their own portable fencing. So we fixed the fence for appearance sake. And now we fix it because it would be just too much work to take it down. The posts still stand true. It's easier to leave it. I try not to think about this as I fix the fence each year. Try not to see it as a metaphor for life or the politics of our republic. I just patch the fence. It's what the fence wants. Howard Mansfield. Two short selections today from Howard Mansfield. Not quite short stories, but small little essays from his time in New Hampshire. I'll read more from this, but two's good for today. Special treat to have a second. I thought I lost that book today. I had to scramble around for it. It's thin and I couldn't find it. But I did. And I knew I had wanted to read that Summer Over Autumn. I thought it was a September book, which I think it kind of is, right? It was appropriate for today with the fall and the summer. I think summer's coming back this week, so it's good. It's good that Summer over Autumn. Not quite a season like mud season or black fly season. All right. Well, thanks for coming, Puppy. You're welcome for the story. Puppy, I'll see you tomorrow. Woohoo! All right. Everybody stay well. Mask up. Keep your distance. Wash your hands. Eat something. Eat some vegetables. Get a good night's sleep. Take a shower. Get some fresh air. Stay positive. All right. I'll see you. Peace. Thanks for coming.